Good evening, everyone. You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the corruption detector, and this is your Red Pill News. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. In the studio, I've got a very special guest, Master Chief Kirby Horrell, former Navy SEAL, decorated military man, and founder of Saved in America. Kirby, thank you very much for joining us, my friend.
Thank you for having us today. Red Pill, I like to get our message out and talk a little bit about myself, where my history came from, what I have done in my life, and I'm very proud of. I came from a farming community in Missouri. I was a race car builder. I built hot rods as a kid. And they are the ones that I have to thank for getting me to California. There was a judge that said, young man, I've caught you way too many times street racing, so I have some choices for you. Needless to say, I took the choice of joining the Navy. So I took my first airplane ride out of Missouri and flew to San Diego, which was probably the smartest move I ever did. And I arrived in San Diego in November. It was 74 degrees, and I said, I am never going home. So that was the trip that made the huge difference in my life. Unfortunately, today we don't have judges like that give the young kids the opportunity to straighten their lives out. So I'm very thankful for that judge. If he was still alive, I'd go thank him, but he's long gone. But I joined the Navy. I did a first Westpac cruise and took my test to get into BUDS. Came back from my Westpac cruise in 1968, joined the BUDS class 49, and started my training process. It was a winter class, and we just every day of BUDS training was a monumental feat. And when they tell you you have to do one event at a time, they mean that, because every event is the hardest thing you're ever going to do.
Oh, I bet.
If you try to think you're going to just whiz through the day, you're completely wrong. So after BUDS, after we went through BUDS training, we graduated, which was not a big, in those days, it wasn't as of a fair as it is today, which I think it's wonderful for the young guys today to get that recognition from graduating BUDS. But we graduated BUDS. We went into SBI, which was SEAL Basic Indoctrination, got ready to go to Vietnam, put together our platoon, and off we flew to Vietnam with our box lunches. They really believed in taking care of you. They gave you a peanut butter sandwich and a meat and cheese sandwich and said, have a great flight. So we arrived in Vietnam and went to our base in Vietnam, was called Sea Float. So anybody that Googles Sea Float on the internet will find out where we spent 6 months of our lives, which was a barge in the middle of the San Culan River, right in the middle of VC country. So we had no friends around us, and we were quite a busy platoon. We operated there. We were the only platoon in the beginning, and by the time we left country 6 months later, we had 4 other platoons assisting us because there was so much business to take care of, and we devastated. As far as the Viet Cong was concerned, we devastated their whole operation in the southern part, below the San Culan, the southern part of Vietnam. We did a great job there. And then it came back from Vietnam and got into the training side of SEAL Team. And I did that till 1975, when I got off of active duty and got into business here in San Diego, and did that until 1990, because we had started the reserve unit here in San Diego. And I was in the SEAL Team Reserves from 1975 to 1990. 1990, I got called back to active duty for Desert Storm, Desert Shield. That we were on active duty for probably about a year and a half. And then we got asked to stay and remain on active duty if we wanted to. Well, I was having a great time shooting things, blowing up things, and, running through the desert. And I said, you know what? I think I'm going to stay on active duty. So I got back on active duty in 1992, and then I had my whole career ahead of me. So I stayed at SEAL Team 3 from till 95. And then in 95, I took off and went to Europe because we had formed a basis over in Stuttgart, Germany, where we were operating. And I worked over there for the next 4 years. And then I came back to, and in the European theater was old Soviet Union. It was Bosnia, Kosovo, Herzegovina, and Africa. So we were quite busy over there doing what we do. And then I came back to San Diego, and we put together on tradettes, which they have tradettes on both coasts now, which are training cells for the entire SEAL teams. Did that for probably, I think, 2 years, and then I went back over to Spain because Spain was one of the bases that we had over in Rota. We no longer have it there, but we use that as a launching pad to go into Africa and do humanitarian work. That's what they called it. So it worked out well.
Humanitarian work?
Yes, it was. We were taking care of the humanity. So then after that I came back, and in 2005 I took off for Hawaii and started working in our underwater programs, which is our midget submarines that we launch off of big submarines. So I was in that program almost for the rest of my career, and it worked out fabulous. Then I got ready to retire in late 2014. Had a great retirement. We had probably over 2,000 people at the retirement. We had to move it to the Lowe's hotel on the Strand because there was not a Navy base that could accommodate all of the people coming. So it was quite a retirement, and I've been blessed, for a lot of years, thank the good Lord. And it was wonderful. But then after that retirement is when I got Jeff Bremstead, who was one of my teammates, brought me a document from Amy Carter that was a PhD at San Diego University and USD, and it was about child trafficking. And we had saved thousands of people in journeys overseas and to all these different countries, and got a lot of people out of harm's way, and let them get their lives back. And then I come home and I find out that it's happening right here in Southern California. I was blown away. I was blown away by the document. I couldn't believe the document when I first read it. And I said, I really have to go out and find this out for myself. So we did some background stuff that we normally do, and because we're all licensed private investigators.
Yeah. How many people are there in Saved in America with you?
We probably have we have 40 guys that volunteer their time, right? Yeah. And it's a mix of special operations guys in the Marine Corps, in the Navy, and then we have police officers also that volunteer their time to do it. So we went out on our first kind of it was a recon to see if this was really the fact. And we found a location off of Pacific Coast Highway that was a kind of like a rave event that the young people have today. Mm-hmm. But it was in an old black building, and we set up on it, and we're on roofs and stuff like that, just seeing what we would see. Well, I was blown away by that, because I was blown away by the young girls that were being brought into the raves by older guys. And so we had to send somebody inside. So we sent one of our investigators inside with recording glasses just to see what was going on in there. And I was completely shocked that they'd get these young girls up and have them dance on stage and going through all this stuff. And there were women recruiters in there. There were men recruiters in there. They're trying to recruit these girls into human trafficking, mm-hmm. or into something that they just become they want to make them feel like they're really, really special. And at 14, 15, and 16 years old, sometimes that's easily done.
Well, primarily, are you seeing girls that are runaways that are drawn into this lifestyle, or is it people who are taken against their will? I mean, is it just people that, are addicted to drugs? I mean, what kind of girls are you finding that get caught up in this?
It's, I mean, one specific category, it's across the board,
Oh,
right?
wow.
Because there's a lot of runaway girls that during the first 48 hours, they are attracted or recruited or fall in love with somebody in that particular thing. That's the reason why they run away.
Hmm.
They misconnection between them and parents. And it's not always the parents' fault, because the parents are trying to do a great job. I mean, we have a fast moving society. So the girls get out there and they just get brought into this, romanced into this, believing that this person is the right person for them, even though he's older and he has a whole program done. And now we have gang recruiters that are in middle schools that are looking for girls that, are maybe they they just are looking for something, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they're lost with their friends and their friends don't communicate. That's why we're trying to have a program and put together a program for middle schools. And there's a lot of NGOs and there's a lot of cities across the country and school districts as well as school boards that are realizing this and putting together programs for this, just to educate the kids today.
Well, so Kirby, I know you're a 501c3, and I know that you guys don't charge anything for your services. So are you using your own money, or are you out there seeking grant opportunities? I mean, does funding exist for this type of work, or is this something you've got to do privately?
We have to do it privately. We
Okay.
have fundraisers in every city that we operate in, philanthropic people that see the value in the work that we do. Our guys are all volunteers. The only thing that they will get paid for is like a per diem. If we're on the hunt for a girl and we are trying to locate her and identify her, then we will pay our investigators a per diem cost per day. We have to have rental cars for that. If we got hotel cost that we have to do, but their time, and that's what the per diem basically is for. Their time is volunteer time.
Wow, that's incredible. One of the craziest statistics that I saw, as much as I know about human and child trafficking, or that I thought I knew, was that 83% of all human trafficking victims in the world are American. I would have assumed that many of these kids were being brought in from other countries. It did not occur to me that it's basically American kids that are being sold into slavery. Now, how big is the market outside of the United States? Is this a problem here in the United States primarily, or does this just run rampant throughout the entire world?
Well, it runs rampant throughout the entire world. Our focus at Saved in America is only on American kids. We're working for American families, and the way that they employ us basically is they have to go to our website, they have to log in. We have a meeting with parents, get the power of the attorney for the children, and then we go locate them, identify them, and then we will call in local law enforcement to do all the knockings on the doors and recover the children, and then they give the children to us because we have the power of attorney, and then we'll take the kids to medical if they need it, and we will get them into a facility that will allow them to come down off the drugs, stabilize themselves. And the parents are there at that particular time, so that if the parents want to take the child before the child comes down, then we have to let the child go. Working with minor kids is a big deal.
Yeah.
And be very, very careful of it. A lot of states, a lot of cities do not have adequate housing for minor children after they come off of one of these things, after we recover them.
Yeah.
Right? Because they go back in a system, and there's people in the system that are the same people they just got away from.
Right.
So,
Well, and I know that there's a big problem with people who people in the system, people in the foster care system, people in the child services system, that they themselves are involved a lot of the time with helping to bring these kids from those at-risk communities directly into child trafficking and human trafficking. What do people do? You said that people go to your website, but is there a process to have you assigned to finding their children? Do they have to fill an application out? Is it just as simple as calling a number or filling out an email?
well, they call our number off the website, and then once they contact us, we will contact them. We
Okay.
have to them. We have to get the power of attorney from them, so that engages us, because if we don't have the power of attorney for that minor child, we put ourselves at great risk,
Absolutely.
because and it's a minor child. So you have to have the power of attorney to deal with that if the parent is not there, because a lot of these things, a lot of the surveillance it's 24/7 until we find that child. And parents have got jobs they have to go to and everything else. That's the reason why we have to do it that way.
Absolutely. So if these kids are strung out, then you help them get into a rehabilitation program. What do you guys do? You help with services afterwards, like connect them with counseling ongoing, maybe connect them with after school programs or something in their local area so that they can stay away from whatever it was that drew them in the first place?
Well, in every city, they have those type of operations. And there's a lot of very qualified NGOs that do those things. We're not involved in that. We are involved in making sure that they are away from the trafficking people.
Okay.
And then we have to turn them over to other people to get the medical stuff. So if there's evidence that have to be taken, DNA or anything else, that so that the city and the state prosecutors can go after these heinous people, then do that. And then once they come down off of it, then if we can assist the parents, if we have funding where we can assist the parents or other funding available to the parents where they can get the kids into programs, then that's how we kind of direct them to do that.
All right. Kirby,
That's our business.
so you've been doing this about 4 or 5 years. How many
Yep.
children have you guys gone out and successfully found?
I think the number that we get from multiple sources, there's ones that we have gone out, found, identified, and recover.
Mm.
There's other runaways that we have done the same thing with, but that are not in human trafficking, but they ran away. Parents didn't know where they're at. Parents contacted us, and we went out and assisted. And we assist law enforcement. Law enforcement has so much work to do when it comes down to runaways and kids, because it takes 48 hours for them to really get geared up and really start looking for a child. And that first 48 hours is critical. That's why if they call us, we could go right to work on it. I can put my computer guys on it, and we can start tracking where they are and where they've been and go to the last place that we know. So that's the important thing. And remember, we don't charge the parents anything for this. That is, other people have charged parents thousands and thousands of dollars to do this, right? And we charged a parent 1 penny.
Well, I mean, it's incredible that you guys are not only law enforcement professionals, you're military professionals. You said that everybody is also a licensed private detective. I know just the cost. If you hire a private detective, let's say for a weekend, doing surveillance, I mean, you're looking at thousands of dollars. So it's really cool that you guys do this work and you don't expect anything for it, that you're just doing it for the benefit of these kids and for their parents. Now, you said you're based in San Diego. How many other cities throughout the United States are you guys operating in?
Well, we are now in Las Vegas. We've been to Las Vegas, which is a big hub. Phoenix, Scottsdale. We're going to be in Texas very soon, and we're going to be in Florida very soon. So wherever there's a drug corridor, you have a corridor for trafficking. And that's kind of where we're focused at. Once the kids get in deep into the country, then it's going to take a lot more to go locate them. And we've got people now in the the Northwest, in Washington and Oregon. So what I've been doing is recruiting other special operations people from all over the country to do this and help us with this heinous crime that is stealing these kids' childhood away from them. And that's why I'm doing what I do.
Let's say that some of my viewers are definitely former special ops guys. What if they wanted to get in touch with you and to start helping with this work, maybe open up a new chapter in their hometown?
We have no problem with that. If they go to our website and there is a button on there to volunteer, go in there, please click it. Let me know. I got to have your DD-214s. I know I have to do a background on you. We've got to clear everybody that comes into the organization to make sure they are who they say they are, because it's not an organization where we can have any less than the best involved in it.
And that's savedinamerica.org. And then I see that you guys also have products that people can buy on the website. I'm assuming that supports your operations. Yeah. Just, and obviously, and people can donate too. I just want to make sure that everybody knows that they're able to donate to help this out, because Kirby, a lot of my viewers are interested in helping to end human trafficking and child trafficking and, find these kids. I know that too often children that end up, being brought into this type of lifestyle either don't survive or, they're just never heard from again.
Or they're damaged goods, and that's the whole thing. And everybody has to remember that it's not just the child that gets brought into human trafficking. It's the child's family that's affected by it. It's the child's friends that are affected by it, and the child that gets brought into it and tries to straighten her life out. Think of her kids. Think of the relatives that are by that, and how you got to dissipate that horrible period in her life, right? And so that in itself is a major job, because one person being taken can affect the whole neighborhood.
Absolutely.
Right? So that is the reason why I'm involved in it, is because these heinous guys and people that are involved in this, both male and female, are destroying these kids' lives, and they have no remorse for it at all.
It's funny you say that because I'm sure that you've heard in the news recently, Jeffrey Epstein and his recruiter, Ghislaine Maxwell. These people probably represent what is like the highest profile human traffickers that I think that anybody has ever come across, and certainly the most prolific. And that's in no short part due to the massive wealth that they have at their disposal. When you do come across a child that you're able to help, is this small time, or are you bordering on some big time operations like we would expect with Jeffrey Epstein?
I think that we're always looking for that. There's other friends out there that have other organizations that target the system and the big gorillas in the room. Right now, our focus is on one child at a time and recovering that child and getting that child back. I know probably 3 different people right now that are government agencies also that are focusing on the Jeff Epstein type of ring, right? I mean, there were so many people that were covering up for that guy. It was crazy. And then and they got to him. I mean, if they wouldn't have gotten to him, just think of the spillage that would have happened.
Absolutely.
And the names that would have just fallen out on the streets. So it's I'm glad, that he's off of the street, that he's not doing anything anymore. His recruiter, she's not doing anything anymore because she doesn't have the shield of having him over the top of her. Right. But I know that she knows an awful lot of information. And if somebody is not getting that out of her, it's sad.
I have contact in the FBI, and I did some reporting on this just the other day. Apparently, when they raided his Manhattan brownstone, they found a lot of blackmail material. and it was labeled, important, famous person with the name of a young underage girl or boy. So they have that. So they know exactly who is involved. And apparently they are just about to make a move against several of his co-conspirators, people that I assume are fairly high up, so that they can then use them, to go and get additional people. So, maybe that'll give you some solace in knowing that this isn't quite over.
God bless. I want to hear that. And we at Saved in America want to support law enforcement in any way we possibly can. New York is another place that has reached out to us, and we're going to assist them. It's just that the assets that we have are limited. So we have to take it a little bit at a time, because you don't want to rush out there and then do something wrong, especially when it comes to minor children.
Absolutely.
And law enforcement is exactly the same way.
Yeah.
So I hope the FBI gets a great case on a lot of people and brings them to justice, because they've damaged a lot of lives.
Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that doesn't go away. I got one more question for you, Kirby.
Okay.
What is your opinion of President Trump and the moves that he has made to combat child and human trafficking? I mean, it just from my outward glance, it seems that he has done more than any other president in my lifetime.
Well, I have to say that he has elevated child trafficking and the trafficking subject to the highest level that it has been ever. Because, I mean, even when I got started in this in 2014, it was like a subject that nobody wanted to talk about. It was a dirty little subject that nobody wanted to express their opinion on, or say, oh, that happened to the child down the street or anything else, because it was just one of those subjects that weren't talked about.
Taboo.
And the president has elevated that subject to now where everybody is aware of it worldwide, and that people are doing things about it. I mean, you got in the immigration system, you have to have a system. Our people that we've been paying for 50 years in Congress and in Washington have done absolutely nothing to establish a credible, system for immigrants in the United States. We love our immigrants. I have friends that are huge immigrants, but they came here legally, right? World War II, the immigrants that came from World War II, they came legally. Nobody gets a free pass, right? And that's exactly what half of Washington, D.C. is talking about right now. Let's give them a free pass.
Yeah, they've taken the argument of immigration and they have kind of obfuscated it. No longer are you even allowed to use the term illegal immigrant. Everybody's just an immigrant. It's just whether or not they're on paper. And if they're not on paper, they don't care. They're going to, they want them to come here, unfortunately, because they are hoping on them voting for Democrats in the next election. So what we need to do is clean up a lot of Washington. The swamp is being drained, though. I've got really good feelings about what's coming in 2020.
That's one thing that our forefathers really made a huge mistake on, because when the forefathers created, right, we the people, they didn't put a percentage on how many farmers you needed, how many doctors you needed, how many businessmen you needed, and how many lawyers you needed in the Congress to represent us. Now, 95% of everybody that represents the American people, and they'll tell you they speak for the American people, which they don't, but they're all lawyers. There's 2 lawyers in Washington, D.C. to get anything done.
Yes.
I mean, look at the investigation on Trump.
Yep.
$40 million.
And rising daily.
What did we, the people, get out of it? We got zip. And everybody is talking about impeachment now. Why isn't anybody talking about the infrastructure of America?
Yeah.
And let's do something about the infrastructure of America.
Yeah.
My opinion, it's going in the wrong direction. And I know, and who's pushing it. The Democrats are pushing it in that direction. Today they got the impeachment on TV, which is just, I mean, it's like a Hollywood movie.
Yeah.
It's going to go nowhere.
Exactly.
And
I don't think they're going to get very far with it, to be perfectly honest, because if you look at what Trump has done, his record is incredible. Okay. Best policies of any president so far. He has taken us from, such a low point, in my opinion, to the highest point that we've been. And that's not just, natural born Americans. That's Americans of every race, color, creed, religion. It doesn't matter. He has lifted us up, making America great from the bottom up. And now people like Adam Schiff, people like Nancy Pelosi, the clowns in Washington, D.C., they think that their position, their power is being threatened. And if Donald Trump is able to successfully shore up all those holes, all the cracks in the dam there in Washington, D.C., and people are no longer able to break laws at the same rate that they were previously, then Adam Schiff and Nancy Pelosi are not going to be able to continue to make money. Their kids are not going to be able to continue to make money. Look at Joe and Hunter Biden. It just came out that they were talking about Burisma with the natural gas company. Hunter Biden was making $50,000 a month, and then it's creeping up. It turns out it was $83,333 a month. He was paid over $2 million, knew absolutely nothing about the natural gas industry. He was a Biden, though. He was Joe Biden's son. So when it comes down to it, it's okay if you are part of the D.C. legacy elite, but not if you're a normal person. And that's what President Trump is doing, is restoring a balance to America. I don't think that even if he is impeached in the House, if it goes to the Senate, he'll never be convicted, because we control the Senate. They're not going to be able to go through with it.
We do that today, Red Pill. So yes, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, you have to let the show continue. I think somebody said that at one point in time, right? Yep. So that's exactly what has to happen. So we'll see what happens. We'll see the outcome. I agree with you 100%. I wish they would since we're talking, I wish they would put the Pledge of Allegiance back in to schools.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we have to honor our flag. If you do not build a culture of honoring the nation's flag, then pretty soon you have no culture.
I completely agree. Well, listen, Kirby, we're out of time, bud, but I wanted to say thank you for your service, and I do want you to come back because I've got so many other things I wanted to ask you about. But thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for coming here today. I so appreciate it, and thank you to the audience for watching, and we will see you next time.
Okay, out here.
Hey guys, it's Red Pill. I just wanted to say one more thing. Thank you very much to all my patrons. Thank you to everyone who supports this channel. If anyone wants to help out, there are links in the description of this video below. Please make sure to subscribe to my backup channels in case anything happens here. I will begin publishing there. And if you guys have any questions or tips for me, please send me an email at redpill78@protonmail.com. Also, don't forget to make sure that you have notifications turned on for this channel. When you go to my channel page, there is a little bell. Click that bell and choose all notifications. And if you don't have one already, go sign up on Twitter and follow me there and make sure that your notifications are on. Because even if you don't get a notification from YouTube, I always have a notification that goes out on my Twitter page that lets you know every time I put out a new video. I look forward to reading your messages. I look forward to getting the news to you on a daily basis. And I look forward to seeing you all again in the next episode.